Hi all, this is Once a Future Gamer, and welcome to another Pokemon Challenge. Last time, I had a relatively easy one, as I attacked Pokemon Silver with a single Larvitar. That was fun. Today though, I go back to Gen 1 with another potentially fun one, as I see if I can beat Pokemon Red with Agatha's team and moves. Now, I did do something similar with the Rivals team in Emerald. Agatha doesn't have bad Pokemon, using 2 Gengar, a Haunter, Arbok and Golbat. The problem is that the majority of them are Ghost and Poison types. These were 2 pretty underwhelming types offensively in Gen 1 though, so we shall see. If I wanted less of a challenge, I'd have done Pokemon Yellow because the moves are marginally better. One Gengar gets Mega Drain, Golbat also gets Leech Life. When we're saying those 2 moves are marginally better, it tells you exactly what we're working with. Mind you, the moves are okay I guess, but like a lot of Poison and Ghost moves from early gens, it could be so much better. Plus, all base their damage on the physical attack stat rather than the special, so Gengar isn't necessarily going to hit as hard as you might think with the stab moves. So here's the rules then. In battle, I can only use Agatha's final team, or Pokemon that evolve into her final team. Once the movesets are finalised, I have to use those moves, but until then, I can use any other move the Pokemon learns naturally. I will emphasise that again. Until the movesets are finalised, I can use any naturally known move that the Pokemon has. With one exception, one Gengar needed to know Toxic. It doesn't learn that naturally. No TMs are permitted in this run. No items are permitted in battle beyond Pokeballs, but I can heal away outside of battle. No glitches or exploits beyond UPR stuff. I have a feeling that Sabrina is going to be horrible in this game, just a hunch. Ghost type moves don't affect Psychic types in Gen 1, so the options for that fight are Golbat and Arbok. That is no sort of fun. Also, are you kidding me? Golbat has both Supersonic and Confuse Ray! That seems unnecessary. We might also struggle against the Rivals Alakazam. Actually, I don't think there's any sort of might about it. We will. Now I have to play about with the UPR here to permit impossible evolutions, allowing me to evolve Haunter into Gengar without trading. I replaced Charmander with Ghastly, giving our rival Squirtle. This one might be the hardest for us to fight, given it's the most defensively solid of the 3. As long as he doesn't end up with Bulbasaur, for more of a challenge, because if he has either a Charmander or Squirtle, then he uses Executor, a part Psychic type, which will be harder for us to damage as well. I nicknamed the Ghastly Fog, but we'll be catching 2 more later. One for the Haunter, one for the second Gengar. That's a long way off yet. We have the first rival fight, but it's easy. His Squirtle can't hit us at all. Tackle passes through us harmlessly, and I use 5 Lick Attacks and 2 Nightshades to knock it out. Can you tell what the problem I'm going to have very short term is? At least until I get to Mount Moon. I only know Ghost moves, so I can't harm normal type Pokemon. This will be problematic. I have Confuse Ray, so I could go that route, but I don't really want to level up by making Rattata and Pidgey hit themselves in confusion. Thankfully, there's a solution for that. I hit Viridian Forest and level up on Weedle and Caterpie and their evolutions. As a bonus, we're part Poison type, so we can't get poisoned. As another bonus, versus Kakuna and Metapod, Nightshade does fixed damage based on our level, so they can't stall us out with Harden. I grind for a while, then go tackle the Route 22 rival fight. Now he has a Pidgey, so that's probably going to be the tricky part. Relatively, anyway. Annoying might be a better word. We try this fight at level 14. Pidgey, as predicted, is irritating. It can't land a hit on us. Gust is normal rather than flying in this gen for some reason that probably made sense at the time to the developers. I keep it confused as much as possible, but it takes a long time for it to knock itself out. Eventually, it does though, spamming Sand Attack on us a couple of times. Not that it makes a difference when Squirtle comes out as we knock it out with 2 Nightshade attacks. I figure I'll go at Brock now, see how we stack up. The important thing to remember, as I discover on my Yellow with EV run, is that Bide does hit Ghosts, so it's not like I can stand there laughing while his Rock Snake waggles impotently at me. That might have come out wrong. Anyway, I go for Confuse Ray versus Geodude, and then realise the only offensive move it has is Tackle, so I knock it out with 2 Nightshades and a Lick. Next is Onix, and I go defensive with Confuse Ray at the start, and good job as it goes for Bide. When it unleashes energy, Nightshade does just about half its health to it anyway. I land 2 of them before it knocks itself out in confusion. That was easy. I make my way into Mount Moon next and catch myself a Zubat, nicknaming it Vamp. The first one I tried was fainted by an unlucky crit, but hey, if there's one thing we're not short of in Mount Moon, it's Zubat. And incidentally, while levelling up, I do actually discover that Nightshade does in fact hit normal types in this game. I didn't know that until today. To the west of Cerulean City, I go after catching myself an Ekans, who I don't believe I've ever actually used before. I nickname it Serpent, or I was going to, until I realised it should be called Neprez. And that's the 3rd one I've got to level up. I think Fog will be the first Gengar, the lower leveled one, not the second one. Tackle the Nugget Bridge rival fight next, as I figure this will be easier than Misty at this point. Besides, it's something approaching a fair fight this time. I've been with Fog versus Pidgeotto and Nightshade it until it stops moving. It uses Gust, which doesn't work, Sand Attack, which fails to connect, and Quick Attack, which was never going to hit. Next is Abra, and I test a Theory. Nightshade does work on Psychic types then, in a gen where it's supposedly immune to Ghost moves, as Lick demonstrates shortly after. Another Nightshade takes Abra down. I do the same thing to Rattata, taking it out with a pair of Nightshades, before Squirtle is then taken out in the same rapid fashion with the same move. North of Cerulean City, Zubat evolves into Golbat. We need Wing Attack and Haze to complete the move set. Shortly after, Fog evolves into Haunter. We need Hypnosis and Dream Eater to complete the move set. Ekans also evolves into Arbok, but the footage is missing, alas. I just need Glare, Screech and Acid to complete the move set. Shame, because I was enjoying stunlocking everything that I came across. With 2 Pokemon at level 22 and 1 at level 25, I go make a speculative attempt at Misty. I start with my newly evolved Arbok and fight Staryu with Wrap and Bite attacks, eventually knocking it out without suffering too badly, though Misty does land a next defend and gets a Water Gun off. I leave Arbok out to face Starmie. I figure we can't win here, so the best case scenario is poison damage. First Poison Sting attack poisons it, and then I try Wrap. So, Starmie takes poison damage every single time Wrap hits it. That's handy. Arbok manages to take it to red health before going down, and Haunter comes out to finish it with Nightshade. We have the SSN rival fight next. I start with Golbat versus Pidgeotto. It takes 2 bite attacks for Vamp to win, but I do take a quick attack in exchange. Raticate goes down to 2 bite attacks before Kadabra comes out. Vamp is faster though, and 1 hits it with bite. Last is Wartortle, and I go into Fog to take it out with a pair of Nightshade attacks, getting hit with Water Gun in exchange. The Surge fight is next. I start with Arbok, and it's actually all I need, as Voltorb gets paralysed with Glare before Surge X-speeds it. Still, Paralysis kicks in twice, and I take it out with 2 bite attacks. Pikachu is a 1-hit with Bite before Raichu is next. I glare at it for Paralysis, and it lands Thunder Shock before I take it out with a series of bite attacks. That one was easy. The next thing I want to do is flesh out my team by acquiring the other 2 Pokemon. So, as I head through Rock Tunnel and into Lavender Town, I stop by Pokemon Tower to face the rival again. I start with Vamp versus Pidgeotto and take it out with 3 bite attacks, getting struck with Gust that does something, and Whirlwind, which does nothing in training battles in Gen 1. Fog takes out Growlithe with 2 Nightshades and hits level 37. Nepres takes ages to deal with Execute after getting hit with Hypnosis and several barrage attacks, but ultimately manages to take it out with Poison Sting and bite attacks. Arbok 1 hits Kadabra with Bite before the fight comes down to Wartortle, and Nepres does down it with Bite and Poison Sting attacks throughout. At the end of the fight, Fog evolves into Gengar. I'll need to acquire another one later. I still need the last move too. Before I face Giovanni, I get that last move of Dream Eater and replace Lick. Fog now has the final move set. Golbat still needs Haze, Arbok still needs Screech and Acid. Anyway, Giovanni fight. I use Fog. Hypnosis misses Onix at the first attempt, but it misses Rock Throw in exchange before the second Hypnosis puts it to sleep, and I 1-hit it with Dream Eater. Next is Rhyhorn, and if I recall from the Pokemon Red with a single Rhyhorn run, it should only have Horn Attack as a move, and I knock it out with 2 Nightshades before Kangaskhan is last. Hypnosis and a crit Dream Eater takes it out. Easy money. I head to Pokemon Tower and catch 2 more Ghastly, nicknaming them Smog and Smokey. So I need to evolve 1 into Haunter, and then Gengar, and then 1 into just Haunter. I think I'll keep Smokey as the Haunter, and make Smog the second Gengar, the one that I've got to teach Toxic to. Remember eventually that I've got Erika to beat, and so I head back to Celadon. I pick Vamp to start the fight, and he pretty much finishes it too. Leech Life hits Victory Bell hard before it hits a 5-turn Wrap that deals about 1/5 of my health. This is why I didn't consider Wrap and Poison to be an exploit, an enemy can use it against you in exchange. Vamp takes down Victory Bell with Wing Attack. Tangela comes out next, and Vamp hits it hard with 2 wing attacks for the win, only taking Constrict in exchange. Leech Life deals massive damage to Vileplume before it lands Petal Dance. It's not too bad considering we 4 times resist grass moves, and Wing Attack finishes it. My movesets are almost complete. Arbok needs Acid, Golbat needs Haze, and my second Gengar needs Toxic. So, why not go after Koga now and see what we can do? I don't think we've got any chance against Sabrina right now, so we'll need a lot of levels. We might even need to head over and beat Blaine before we tackle her. I'll try Koga and then head to Sylph. Smokey has a completed moveset, but I probably won't be using the Haunter too much. Koga is relatively easy. I use my stronger Gengar, Fog. I hypnotise the Coughing into falling asleep and 1-hit it with Dream Eater. Now, I'm not going to lie, this is pretty much my strategy for this entire fight. Muck gets hit with hypnosis and immediately wakes up. The second one keeps it asleep long enough for Dream Eater to take it out. The second coughing lands 2 sludge attacks as hypnosis fails twice, but the third one lands and Koga goes for an X attack before Dream Eater takes it out. Last is wheezing. It lands a few attacks as I try to put it to sleep. I kind of hope it'll blow itself up, but it doesn't play ball, and eventually I get it to sleep. It does survive Dream Eater, but I finish it with Nightshade. On to Sylph then. I fight through Team Rocket and then make a try against a rival. For my moveset, I need Nepres to hit level 47 and then I'll get Acid the last move. I put Smog up top to face Pidgeot. I'll probably use Fog a lot more over the rest of the run, but I might get some mileage out of Toxic. It's not like a second viable Gengar is going to cripple me now, is it? Anyway, using a combination of Toxic, Confuse Ray and Nightshade, Smog manages to take down Pidgeot, though we do get hit by 2 wing attacks. The same array of moves does for Growlithe in the end. It lands a bunch of Ember attacks. When Execute comes out, I decide that Smog has done enough for the moment and bring in Vamp, who does get put to sleep after landing wing attack, but because the game knows Reflect is a psychic move and Golbat is weak to psychic moves, it spams Reflect half a dozen times, enough for Vamp to wake up and finish it. Next is the troublesome one, Alakazam. I bring Smog back out and land Toxic before it blasts me with Psybeam for the knockout. I bring Vamp back out and go for Confuse Ray. It hits another Psybeam, but Vamp survives and lands Wing Attack. Alakazam hits itself in confusion before Wing Attack takes it out. Last is Blastoise and I go for Nepres. I paralyse Blastoise with Glare, all while it uses withdraw attacks. I land a few Screeches before going for Bite over and over until it's done for. This fight is normally tough, that wasn't too bad. I remember the first time I ever did this fight as a kid, my Venusaur kept getting slaughtered by Pidgeot. Memories. Giovanni is my next opponent. I don't heal but put Fog at the top of my team. The only one, barring Haunter, who's at full health. Anyway, Nidorino goes down to 3 Nightshade attacks, only landing a 1 HP hit Poison Sting and a Focus Energy in exchange. Kangaskhan wakes up from hypnosis on the first turn before staying asleep on the second and gets 1 hit with Dream Eater. Nice. Rhyhorn tries to land Stomp and succeeds with Tail Whip, but 3 Nightshade attacks take it out. Nidoqueen takes a few turns to get put to sleep via hypnosis, but only tries to land Scratch and Body Slam versus a Ghost. And when she does go to sleep, Dream Eater 1 hits her. I hit Cinnabar Island next. I think I'll need to be stronger to beat Sabrina, given my team is very weak to psychic attacks. Against Blaine, I decide to employ similar tactics to the last rival fight. Start with Smog and Toxic confuse everything. That's what I do versus Growlithe, Toxic, Confuse Ray and Nightshade until it gets taken out. I figure I don't need to do that versus Ponyta and send in Vamp to take it out with wing attacks, even with Blaine flinging an unlimited amount of super potions at it. Smog comes out versus Rapidash, Toxic, Confuse Ray, Nightshade until it goes down, and it does so eventually. When Arcanine comes out, it's the same tactics once again. Smog does well to take it out with little difficulty. Poison and Confusion overwhelm it completely. That's a very good result, that. So, Saffron Gym then. Seems like the only thing left I can do. I've been putting it off long enough. Maybe I'm high leveled enough now that we can survive a hit or two. Golbat did versus the rivals Alakazam. Okay then, let's do this. I don't think this was unreasonable to say that this might be the single hardest fight facing me in the entire game. Although, that statement does turn out to be hyperbole. Kadabra goes down with a single crit acid from Nepres. Mr. Mime goes down to 2 acid attacks but does manage to land Confusion in exchange. Venomoth goes down to 2 bite attacks but does manage to blast Arbok with Psybeam before Alakazam comes out. Arbok cannot win this fight, but I try to get a Screech off. Alakazam outspeeds and blasts Nepres with Psybeam. Smog comes out next and I go for Toxic before it lands Psywave for 4 points of damage. I confuse it, managing to land a few Nightshades as well to take it out. Okay, that wasn't anywhere near as bad as I figured it would be. Giovanni's final fight then, and I begin with Vamp to face Dugtrio, or at least I would if he didn't send Rhyhorn out first. My bad. I switch into Smog and go for, wait for it, Toxic, Confuse Ray and Nightshade until it goes down. It does try to land Stomp and Horn Drill on my Gengar to very little effect. Dugtrio comes out, I send Vamp in, who knocks it out with a pair of wing attacks while it tries impotently to fight back. Next is Nidoqueen, and I bring out Fog to Hypnosis and Dream Eater it. I have a little trouble with getting Nidoking to sleep for the same effect. It even lands a whopping 2 points of damage with Poison Sting before I get it to sleep with Hypnosis and Dream Eater it. I do the same thing to Rhydon, a crit Dream Eater, takes it down hard. Right then, next rival fight. And this is Well, I don't actually think it's believable what happened here. So, I started with Smog and went for Toxic and Confuse Ray versus Pidgeot, who did nothing but agility because of it being a psychic type move. I hit it with a few Nightshades and it goes down. I did the same thing to Rhyhorn, who couldn't actually hit me by the looks of it. It doesn't manage to land a blow in anger. Growlithe did exactly the same thing as Pidgeot. It tried agility a bunch of times and went down to Toxic, Confuse Ray and Nightshade. Execute got hit with Toxic and tried to charge up Solar Beam before Confuse Ray got it. A couple of Nightshades took it out. So that's 4 down, using an underleveled Gengar with a potentially broken strategy. Smog even manages to inflict Toxic on Alakazam, but then gets blasted out with a crit Psybeam after it used Reflect. So I send in Vamp and manage to survive a Psychic attack with 6 HP from full health before taking it out with a combination of Wing Attack and Toxic damage. I send Nepres out to fight Blastoise, landing Glare, and then just keep acid attacking it until it goes down. It misses Hydro Pump and tries to charge up a Skull Bash to little avail. Phew, if Vamp hadn't taken down Alakazam, that could have been nasty. Mind you, Fog would probably have been able to save that situation. We'll never know, and we won't have to. Anyway, Elite Four time. On a single Pokemon run, I'd be at a way higher level than this, but the Pokemon are better than normal, let's face it. Fog is at level 52, Vamp at level 51, Nepres at level 50, Smog at level 45, and Smokey at level 38. I think we might be able to do Lorelei at this level. Bruno might be tricky, not often you say that is it. Agatha will probably wall us at this level. We're definitely not ready for the final rival fight, but we'll see. Lorelei's fight is harder than I figured. It's a dirty, ugly brawl. I tried to Toxic Dugong into submission, but it knows rest. I wait until it falls asleep, then bring in Fog to replace Smog and take it out with Dream Eater and Nightshade. Next is Cloyster, and I successfully Toxic it while it uses Clamp. When I was using Wrap and Poison Sting earlier in the game, the same thing happens here in reverse. It stun locks me, but takes poison damage every time it does. What an idiot! Eventually it goes down to Nightshade. I Toxic Slowbro, and then switch out into Arbok, who wreaks havoc on it with acid attacks, eventually taking it down. I don't poison Jinx, but leave Nepres out, who manages to take it out with Bite and acid attacks. I use Toxic on Lapras and then bring Arbok back out, who survives a Hydro Pump and even manages to get a Screech off. When Arbok goes down, I bring in Vamp and land Wing Attack, but get taken out by Blizzard. Fog has to come in and finish Lapras off with Nightshade. That wasn't a clever fight, and I have a feeling I might need to do it a few more times yet. The Bruno fight is a tale of two Gengar. Smog takes out Onix number 1 with Toxic, Confuse Ray and Nightshade combo. It does help that the Onix tries to use Slam on it. Fog comes out to take on Hitmonchan with Hypnosis and Dream Eater. When Hitmonlee comes out, Hypnosis fails and it helpfully tries to Mega Kick Fog in the head, which works about as well as you'd think. Eventually, it goes down to Dream Eater. Smog comes back out to take on the second Onix and defeats it with Confuse Ray and a few Nightshade attacks. When Fog comes out to take on Machamp, it helpfully uses Focus Energy, so at least I'm shielded from crits for the fight before it goes down to Hypnosis and Dream Eater. Now, it's time for the main woman herself, the one whose team I've been using throughout. Hers are at a slightly higher level, but she's probably had them for years. I, on the other hand, have had them for about 30 hours. Anyway, I start with Fog. I managed to get the first Gengar asleep eventually, and after what feels like an eternity, knock it out with Dream Eater. I bring out Arbok to face Golbat and fail with Glare 3 times. I eventually Screech at it and manage to knock it out with a couple of bites instead. Fog takes out Haunter with Hypnosis and Dream Eater, again, eventually. I bring out Golbat to face Arbok and it does what mine couldn't and successfully lands Glare, eventually taking Vamp out with a bite after a drawn out fight. Really long fight. Fog comes out and finishes it with Nightshade before facing off against the second Gengar. Now, Fog does eventually take it out with Dream Eater, but it's another long drawn out battle as Agatha's Gengar lands Confuse Ray, Nightshade and even fails a few times with Toxic. But it's done. This attempt might fail due to me not bringing PP restores. Still, I doubt I can beat the rival at the end of the game at this level. I might have a fighting chance versus Lance, but we'll have to see. I start with Smog versus the Dragon Master. I think you can already guess what strategy I'll probably use against Gyarados. Lance does use full restores though, I think, so it's nowhere near close to being foolproof. Toxic, Confuse Ray, Nightshade. It's enough to take down Gyarados, even if it does nearly wipe Smog out with Dragon Rage and Hydro Pump. Nepres comes in for both of the Dragonair, and since all they do is try to use agility on him, it's really a case of whittling them down until eventually they go down for the count. Screech is really good for lowering their defences. Acid can do that as well. It lets me wail on them while they try to make themselves faster. Again, Psychic move, Poison type, Game thinks it's super effective. Anyway, long story short, Neprez wins out on the Battle of the Serpents. Fog comes out to face Aerodactyl, and it immediately starts out well by trying to land Bite on me, which, of course, wasn't Dark type in this game. That type didn't exist yet. It takes many Nightshade and Confuse Ray attacks, but Fog brings Aerodactyl down. Last is Dragonite, and Neprez comes back out. I get a glare off at the second attempt and 3 Screech attacks before I take it out with 2 Acid attacks. It's not often you see an Arbok take out a Dragonite 10 levels higher than it, but again, it does keep trying to use agility, so when an opponent refuses to attack, it does generally help your case. Go on then, let's see how we do against the rival. I go with Vamp up top to face Pidgeot. Vamp does eventually knock it out after keeping it confused and hammering away at it with wing attacks. It does get an occasional mirror move off, but nothing serious. Next is Alakazam, and this is where it gets problematic, as it knocks out Smog, Neprez and Fog before Vamp manages to take it out with wing attack. I have to go to Smokey for the ride-on, and fair dues to Smokey, using Hypnosis and Confuse Ray tactics, it does manage to take out first ride-on, then Arcanine, and then after Vamp comes out to whittle down Executor a bit, Smokey, the level 38 Haunter, manages to finish Executor off as well. Unfortunately, Blastoise is a bridge too far. I tried to keep it asleep and confused with Haunter, but it breaks through both and knocks me out with Blizzard. Close, but so far away. Guess it's all about levels then. It doesn't take that many before I'm back. This time, I go with Smog versus Pidgeot and use the tried and trusted Toxic, Confuse Ray, Nightshade strategy to take it out relatively quickly. Versus Alakazam, who caused a lot of problems last time, I send in Neprez to take one for the team and land Glare. Thankfully, it goes to Psybeam and not Psychic. I survive that and deal big damage with Bite before a second Psybeam takes me out, and I go for Vamp, who lands Confuse Ray, and I begin to hammer at it with wing attacks. It gets a Reflect up, but Vamp manages to pull out the win. Next is Rhydon, and it's that strategy with Smog, using the same moves again. Toxic, Confuse Ray, Nightshade. Mind you, that's the last time I can use that strategy. Still didn't bring any PP restores to this run. Anyway, eventually, Rhydon goes down to poison damage. Smokey comes out to face Arcanine and manages to keep it asleep and confused long enough to take it out with a series of Dream Eater attacks that keep Smokey healthy. Executor cannot hit Smokey. It keeps me asleep with a lot of Hypnosis attacks as I try to keep it asleep and confused in exchange, but I spend a lot of time sleeping. Thankfully, it constantly fails with Barrage and Stomp. Eventually, Smokey triumphs after using Nightshade a lot. Blastoise is last, and I'm in better shape this time. It goes for Withdraw, and Smokey lands Hypnosis before using Confuse Ray and beginning the Nightshade assault. I get so very close to knocking it out, managing the fight well, until Rod realises that he's in danger of looking like an idiot and he cracks out a full restore. Blastoise then knocks out Haunter with Blizzard. Smog comes out, Toxic and Confuse Ray follow quickly afterwards as Smog tanks a Hydro Pump in between them. Blastoise does miss a few attacks but eventually takes Smog out with Blizzard. In comes Vamp and I immediately go for Confuse Ray and Blizzard misses. One does land but Vamp survives, and with poison damage combined from wing attack, Blastoise goes down. That was so nearly bad. I genuinely didn't want to know how long that could have taken, but we did it. It was fun. Some Pokemon here I've never used, like Arbok, and rarely used, like Gengar. I didn't have a lot of friends with Game Boy Link cables where I grew up, so trade evolutions weren't an option. I hope you enjoyed this challenge. I know I did. Next time I'm going to stay in Kanto as I take on Pokemon Fire Red with a single Poochyena. If you have any suggestions for challenges, tell me about it either in the comments section or on my Twitter page. If you have enjoyed what you've seen here, then don't forget to once again like, comment, subscribe, all that sort of jazz. It'll keep me going. And well, I guess if you have enjoyed it, I'll see you next time. This has been Once a Future Gamer signing out. Thank you for coming. Have a great day.